Deep in a Utah canyon, a man stares at his own arm, pinned under an 800-pound boulder. Nobody knows he's here. He has 1 liter of water, 2 burritos, and a cheap multi-tool. What he does next will shock the entire world. But to understand how he got here, we have to go back 5 days to a decision that almost killed him. Aron Ralston is 27, an experienced climber who tackles Colorado's toughest peaks alone in winter. That Saturday, he drives to Bluejohn Canyon, a remote slot canyon in the Utah desert, hours from the nearest paved road. He tells no one where he's going. Not his roommate, not his family, not a ranger. Remember that detail. Slot canyons are narrow corridors carved by flash floods. Some are 3 feet wide, with walls 10 stories high. Scrambling over wedged boulders called chockstones, rocks jammed between the canyon walls by ancient floods. Around 2:45 in the afternoon, he climbs down onto one of those chockstones, and the rock moves. The boulder shifts, crushes his right hand against the canyon wall, and stops. 800 pounds. 0 warning. The pain is blinding, but worse than the pain is the math his brain is already doing. He is miles from any trail. No one knows he's here, and no one is coming to look for him. First, he tries brute force, bracing his legs against the wall and pulling until he screams. The boulder doesn't move. Then he rigs his climbing rope into a pulley system and tries to lift the rock. It doesn't budge. He starts chipping at the boulder with his multi-tool. After hours of carving, he's removed little more than dust. Day 2. His water is nearly gone. He's rationing sips so small they barely wet his tongue. Nighttime temperatures drop near freezing. He hangs in a homemade harness, shivering, drifting in and out of consciousness. Day 3. The water runs out completely. What he does next, he later called the worst decision to take. He begins drinking his own urine. It buys him time, but his body is already shutting down. Day 4. Aron carves something into the canyon wall. His name, his dates, the words, "Rest in peace." He turns on his video camera and records goodbye messages to his parents. He is certain he will die here. That night, he has a vision, a hallucination of a small boy, a future son, running toward him. He would later say that vision changed everything, because the man in that vision had 1 arm. Day 6. Dehydrated and delirious, he suddenly stops fighting the rock, because he's just realized something. He doesn't need to cut through bone. The boulder holds his arm like a vise. He can use torque. He throws his body weight against the trapped arm and feels the first bone snap. Then he does it again. What follows takes about an hour, with a dull 2-inch blade. We won't show it. You already understand. At last, more than 5 days after the boulder fell, Aron Ralston steps backward. He is free. But here's what most people don't realize. The amputation was not the hard part. He is alone, in shock, losing blood, with a 65-foot cliff between him and the way out. One-handed, he rigs his rope and rappels down the cliff face, fighting to stay conscious the whole way. He has lost roughly a quarter of his blood. With every step, his vision narrows a little more. Then he rounds a corner and sees something impossible. People. A family from the Netherlands, out hiking. He calls out words they will never forget. Help. I fell off a cliff, and I cut off my hand. The family gives him water and runs for help, and here is where the luck becomes almost unbelievable. His mother had reported him missing, and searchers had narrowed the area that very morning. A helicopter was already flying nearby. Minutes after reaching the trailhead, Aron is airborne. Doctors later estimated he had only hours left. Aron survived. He kept climbing, finishing all of Colorado's 14,000-foot peaks alone in winter, with a prosthetic arm. And that vision of the little boy? Years later, Aron Ralston became a father. To a son. So what actually went wrong here? This wasn't bad luck. Rangers will tell you it was a chain of choices. Mistake 1. He told no one where he was going. A single text message turns 5 days into 1. Mistake 2. No locator beacon. Today, a satellite messenger costs less than a car payment and works anywhere on Earth. Mistake 3. He trusted a chalk stone with his full weight. In a slot canyon, every wedged rock is a loaded trap. The lesson is not to stay home. Aron did nearly everything else right. He stayed calm and problem-solved for 6 days. The lesson is this: leave a trip plan every single time. The wilderness forgives almost anything except being invisible. Aron's story became a best-selling book and a Hollywood film, but thousands of similar stories end very differently. Next time, we cover one of them, a family of 4 who vanished into the hottest place on Earth. Subscribe.